Greetings and welcome to another edition of The Pedal Shift Project. The Pedal Shift Project is a series of conversations, thoughts, and experiments on bicycle travel adventures. From tips and tricks to ideas on how to ride your ride. Let's shrink the world by bike. Show notes and more are available at pedalshift.net/374, and you can email the show at pedalshift@pedalshift.net or text me at 202-930-1109 and check Pedal Shift out on all the socials as well. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 374th edition of the Pedal Shift Project. My name's Tim Mooney. Thanks so much for joining. On this edition, Oregon Coast Remix, Part 5. So, it was a shorter day. I'm not going to lie. And on this short day, we conquered the Seven Devils, and we did so many other cool things, and you're going to hear all about it on this particular episode. But fret not. Even though this was the last day of riding for me, this is not the last part of the Oregon Coast Remix. Why? You'll have to learn more by listening to Part 5. Good morning from Bastendorf Beach, County Campground. It was a foggy, dewy night. It was my worst night sleeping, but only because of what happened. The dew hit the tree, or the fog hit the trees. The trees basically rained on us all night, which is fine, but it was also cold enough that my tent internally had some pretty massive condensation because I hadn't staked out the front and rear of it. So at 12:30 at night, I got big drops on my forehead. So I had to crawl out of the tent, which I always hate doing at any point in any night. And I staked it out, and the airflow improved, and that reversed itself, which was great. Because otherwise, it was like every 30 seconds, it would have been a problem. But it's all good. Everything's dry inside. So I think I slept for the rest of the night. The light did not come on. The buzz did not happen. The showers were a little too hot. So I don't know how to assess points, but what do we? I gave it a 5 last night.
Yeah, I would give it a 5 or a 6. I think the only thing that is lacking that the other sites have had is a charging station.
Yeah, that would have been
This is a
nice.
county park, and they don't have the same budgets for these sorts of things.
I think we graded a bit on a curve. I liked that there were lights elsewhere, so there was ambient light, which I would prefer a little less of, but whatever. But it was quiet, except for the massive drops of water hitting our tent. But yeah, it was nice, and it's quiet this morning too. And we can get up and not worry about waking up anybody in the RV section. So yeah, this was perfectly acceptable. The waves are crashing. That's all good. Yeah, would I choose this over Sunset Bay? I don't know. I like knowing that it exists. I like knowing that I have a choice. Because last time I spent $120 on a motel that you passed by yesterday. That was fine, but $10 less than $120. So we like that. Today, we are going to slowly pack up our wet tents, and we are going to get out of here leisurely. There's no rush. We might go to Sunset Bay just to check it out. We talked about that.
Yeah, I'd like to do that.
Cool, because it's only about a mile down the road. Then we'll turn back, and we will go back to Seven Devils Road and ride the Seven Devils. That brings us down within a few miles of Bandon. I think we'll be adding a couple miles because of our side trip to Sunset Bay, but we're looking like mid 20 miles when all is said and done to get to Bandon. We'll relax, enjoy what Bandon has to offer, and then we'll double back. It's about 3-ish miles, depending on how far into Bandon we go, back to Bullards Beach State Park, which will be the final campsite of this trip. And as I was reflecting this morning, it's nice. We did it. All new campsites. So the remix is on, and yeah, you said something about another remix. Oh, about how your bike is a little different, and just mixing that all up. There was a couple of different factors. What else was it?
Yeah, I think every time I've done the coast, I've been on a different bike or a different bike configuration, staying at different campgrounds every time. with
different grocery stores. We should go to different grocery stores.
Yeah,
you said.
Sometimes I've done it solo. Sometimes I've done it, with friends. So every trip is different.
Yeah.
The weather's different every trip.
It's funny because I think that crystallized in my head. People will sometimes ask me, why do you always do these same ones? And it's like, it's precisely that. Every trip is different. And this one's really different, and it's just as enjoyable. I'm so happy that it's worked out so far. Cut to the next scene where my bike blows up or something. But all right, that is it for the morning. We're like I said, casual pack up. Maybe we'll check in at Sunset Bay and see if it's improved. Because if it's improved, that would be really good. But if it's I would like you to see if they would let us in to see the hiker-biker campsite, because it's different. It's pretty jacked up as far as I'm concerned. But jacked up for a state park. I think I would end up giving it probably close to a 5 as well, because it does have a bunch of other amenities. Anyways, enough yakking. That's it this morning. From just outside of Bastendorf Beach County Park, James and I are rolling. We decided not to go to Sunset Bay. James was under the impression that it was on the way to the Seven Devils, and it is not. So we are going to go straight to the Seven Devils. It's about a 23-mile ride from here to where we will meet at the Ray's Market. We will pass our campground for the night about mile 20-ish or so, but we'll not go there because there's no way they would let us in. I figure this is, couple 2.5, 3 hours, give or take. It depends on how efficient we are going up the steeper parts of the Seven Devils. And of course we bomb right down on the other side, but then the rest of the ride is reasonably flat and can go very fast in my experience. So I figure, we'll have a nice ride here today. Sun is wanting to peek out a little bit, but it hasn't, which I'm good with. Luckily, our tents were not so wet. Neither of us feel like it has added a lot of weight. I'm a little stiff in the hips this morning, but that's fine. They'll loosen up for sure between here and Seven Devils Road. And I do really like this. It's obviously a lot of climbing, but it's also a lot of descending too. And the worst part for me is the initial climb up, because you're up on a big tabletop, and that tabletop will roll from there with some climbs within it. I'm certainly in lowest gear for many portions of this ride, and that's totally fine. So I usually look forward to it. I think I'm more neutral about it today, and I don't know why. Maybe part of it is it's going to last to the real riding of this tour, although there's certainly more riding to come. It'll be fun to spend some time in Bandon, like I've said in the preview episode, and probably in other tours as well. I'm always leaving around here and having to get to bus stop, or having to ride all the way down to Humbug Mountain, which is not an insignificant day. And I always get a subway sub, which I usually like quite a bit, but I will not get today. It's funny, James and I were also talking about how we tend to have our regular things that we do, regular places that we stop, and sometimes that can get in the way of discovering other things. So both of us are going to enjoy the ability to maybe get a beer in Bandon. We have very few miles to ride after we get there, so it's easier to say yes to something like that. So that'll be fun. And then we backtrack to a brand new to us campsite, continuing the remix. Like I said, and James has said, it's fun to be doing new things, and that's really been a highlight, I think, so far of this trip. Okay, so going up a little bit of an incline here. This is good because it's a good warm up here. It's not a crazy climb. It's not steep, but there will be one. I typically, when I'm lighter, can get up the first initial big climb on the Seven Devils Road. But I think last time
I had to hop off and push for a portion of it. I would not be surprised if that's the case here too. No judgments from me. Don't mind doing it. Probably a likelihood, I think, at this point. Interestingly, it feels a little warmer, and it's humid because, you know, we're right here on the coast. So, you know, I think I'll be sweating quite a bit too. We both refilled up all our waters, and I just had a quick Red Bull to stoke the fires a bit. And yeah, got plenty of snacks. Short ride, but a pretty intense one. So, all right, that is all. We will check in again later. About 7 miles in, I'm at the residence of somebody who put up 2 "I don't call 911" with 2 guns pointing at each other signs. So I always like to stop here on the end of their driveway. Absolutely at the end of their driveway. Riding it's a little rough for me this morning. As I thought, I'm struggling a little bit with some of the hills. I did have to hop off once, but since then I've been fine. It's just I've been going slow. And I've taken a couple of breaks. I ate a fair amount of food because I was starting to feel it. So I'm all fueled up. I did, like I said, I had that Red Bull early before we even started riding, and I'm not feeling those effects yet. So I'm hoping they will come soon. I'm going to make sure that I give myself a lot of water just because I ate a fairly heavy kind of bunch of food. I also had half a banana, so I may have the other half just to give myself a little more accessible food. But it's about 16 miles until the race. So, you know, I haven't seen a mile marker in a bit here, but I expect that I'm getting close to the end of any of the bigger climbs. I really shouldn't even say that. I know that there are a couple, the Devils, you know, have climbs in them. I'm about to descend another one of them here. So it's going fine. I feel fine. Just, you know, struggling a little bit. It's much more humid. I mentioned that earlier. And so I'm sweating a lot more, and it's not as effective in cooling me off. And then a breeze will come and I'll be freezing. So it's temperature regulation is a little tricky, but it's fine. I always do really enjoy this. Especially there's a couple of stretches where the rolls you can hit really well, and it's just a lot of fun. So, all right, a little bit more water, and then we'll get rolling on the way to Bandon. From Bandon, Oregon, you have 2 very crickety older dudes here. We just did the ride. It was pretty good. You're in the background, you're hearing the live music that is at the Bandon Brewing Company, where we ate and had a couple of beers, and both of us are very full. And ride went well, but I think conditions weren't great. You heard my side of the story, and you know, gutted it out and got in, and everything's fine. We did it in really good time. James, you beat me by what, 10 minutes? Yeah, so it was good. It's a beautiful sunny day. It's cold. I shouldn't say that. It's like nice in the sun, except when you're riding a bike, in which case it's like blazing and ridiculous. But yeah, it's a beautiful Sunday here. And so we walked around Old Town Bandon, all of the fudge shops and boutiques and knick-knack stores and things like that, and decided to sit down because there's a hill that we have to go up. It's really not that big. I'm looking at it. It's not, I mean, it's more than I want to do, but like, you know, we have to go back up that to start our ride back, and we've got 3.5 miles, I think, back to camp and then get set up. But I think we'll hit the grocery store before heading back. And yeah, so the bulk of the riding for this trip is done for me. James has got hundreds of miles and a week and a half to go, but that's all good. And I'll probably run into James down the line. That makes some sense.
Yeah.
None of you know what that means, but you'll figure it out. Yeah, we should rate Bandon Brewing on a 1 to 10. What are we thinking there? Very relaxed, low key. They were playing 90s music. That was pretty cool. Give it an 8.
Yeah, I had 2 beers.
You liked them both?
Yeah, I liked them both. I had a burger. It was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe an 8's too high. Maybe it's just like 7.5. I like the vibes.
Yeah.
Vibes were good. There's nothing wrong with it, but there was nothing like outstanding. But it was easy to get to. It's right here. It's literally next to the sign that says, "Welcome to Old Town Bandon." So yeah, if you're in Bandon, check it out. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. We're going back to Bullards Beach. We'll camp.
We'll sleep. We'll rate Bullards Beach.
We'll be back here in a few hours.
Do you have... I almost feel like that we should call our shot on Bullards Beach. What do you think it will be? I'm getting good vibes from it.
Yeah, I imagine it'll be like the previous state parks we've seen. So it'll probably have, a dedicated, recently renovated hike and bike with lockers and charging stations.
Will it beat Honeyman? Honeyman was an 8.5.
No, I don't think.
I'm going to predict an 8.
Okay.
I'm going to predict an 8. All right. That'll probably be the next segment. So just wait a couple seconds, and you'll hear after our called shot. So 7 for Bandon Brewing Company and a predicted 8. More to come on that. From... Where the hell are we? Something beach. This is the worst intro to a segment ever. Bullards Beach. From Bullards Beach State Park in Bandon, Oregon. It is the final campsite. Final camping night. And let's see, we've got... maybe we go chronologically. We biked back from the brewery. And I said, this place might as well be on the moon. Just how we were feeling. But we managed to do it, and there was a pretty brutal headwind, but we got through it, and we got to camp. Very nice. Let's see. It's reminiscent of South Beach State Park in terms of just the vibes and the layout. Next to an amphitheater. It's very separated from the RV areas, which is nice. The shower and bathroom situation, you do have to walk to it, so maybe a slight ding for that because we don't have one right here, although the bathroom's not that far away. Showers were a little bit of a walk, but no more so than any other place. Reasonably flat places, but I would say another slight ding for some not so flat spots, but all very well mapped out, really well appointed charging station. Bike staples. It's very solid. I think I predicted an 8. I think I'm giving it an 8. Where are you at?
Yeah, I could do an 8. I may ding it some if I didn't have one of the flat tent sites.
Yes.
There's some of the tent areas are at a kind of a pitch and super lumpy.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of picky.
The sun being out was really helpful because we were able to dry all of our stuff quickly and easily. And yeah, it's just really nice. We have been bad at mentioning our statistics for other cyclists that are doing the touring thing. And James, how many of those are in camp tonight? 0. Yeah. We do have somebody who seems local here. And that's not what we were talking about. People doing what we're doing. So for the entire time that we did this trip, we had 0 cyclists in camp, but we have another hiker. Mm-hmm. So an odd situation where we've had way more hikers because we had the group of teenagers, and now we have a guy here, a very nice guy, who is hiking the Oregon Coast Trail. And yeah, so I don't know what... We've been talking about it. We don't know what it says. It's just interesting. Also, we saw vanishingly few people with panniers or otherwise were clearly doing what we're doing. Mm-hmm. I mean, count on one hand kind of a thing. I think 3? Well, 3 since we've been going at it, but yeah. So, interesting. Don't know what it says. Could be small sample size. Could be we're the only people left on the planet, and all of you listening who do this. So who knows? I would love to know. We've talked about going up to the ranger station and asking for data, but I don't think we're that motivated to find out. But yeah, James is opening his wine. I don't know why he's trying to be all dainty about it. Just drink your wine, sir. Let's see. I've got a fun night of me eating ramen and other bulky foods, so I don't have to carry them. We are going to be going back to good old Ray's in the morning. Crack of dawn, I'll probably do some recordings in and around the next set of adventures, but that's where we separate for a few days because through some happenstance, I will be on a separate trip in Northern California, and James will be biking right through on this very trip. So yeah, we will see James down in Northern California, so that's fun. I don't know, any thoughts, takeaways?
No, I really enjoyed this.
I enjoyed it too.
It's good to hang out with you. It's been a while since we've done a trip together.
Yeah,
so.
this felt good. It was good. Well, we should do more of these. So yeah, James is going to buy another set of ACA maps.
Yeah, I have the Adventure Cycling Association Pacific Coast maps I have are from 2010. No, sorry, they're from 2012. But when I get back, I think I'm going to buy the new ones.
They stand up pretty well. It's not replacing it because they're falling apart. It's replacing them.
Right. Yeah, they're in great physical shape.
Yeah.
But I think the route has changed in a couple of places.
That's right.
And
That's right.
I think some campsites have come and gone. And
yeah.
I'm a member and I always like to support them. And so I try to buy all their maps and the GPS tracks for other routes I do. So
yeah, I have been in touch with the ACA about a future adventure that you will be hearing about relatively soon. I'll just drop that little nugget there for you all. But first time that I've been in touch with them about some element of things. So that it could be fun to see if that all works out. And if it doesn't, it's just cool to be chatting with them because they do great work. And we've relied on their resources the whole time we've been doing this.
Statistics. Miles biked 26.5. Devils 7. Beers 2. Cyclists in camp 0. Hikers in camp 1. Flats 0.
And as always, we like to close out the show with a special shout out to the Pedal Shift Society. Because of support from listeners like you, Pedal Shift is a weekly bicycle touring podcast with a global community. Expanding into live shows and covering new tours, if you like what you hear, you can support the show for $5, $2, or even $1 a month. And there's one shot and annual options if you're not into the small monthly thing. Check it all out at pedalshift.net/society. On to the society. Kimberly Wilson, Caleb Jenkinson, Cameron Lean, Andrew McGregor, Michael Hart, Keith Nagel, Brock Didis, Thomas Skadow, Marco Lowe, Terrence Manson, Harry Telgadis, Chris Barron, Mark Van Ram, Brad Hipwell, Mr. T, Nathan Poulton, Stephen Dickerson, Vince LaGreco, Cody Florchinger, Tom Beninati, Greg Braithwaite, Sandy Pizzio, Jeff Muster, Seth Pollock, Joseph Quinn, Drew Porter, Byron Patterson, Joaquin Robber, Ray Jackson, Jeff Fry, Kenny Mikey, Lisa Hart, John Denkler, Steve Henkel, Miguel Quinones, Alejandro Aviles Reyes, Keith Spangler, Greg Towner, Jody Zeranin, Lucas Barwick, Michael Baker, Brian Bechtal, Reinhard Bigel, Greg Middlemiss, Connie Moore, William Gothman, Brian Benton, Joan Churchill, Mike Bender, Rick Weinberg, Billy Crafton, Gary Matushak, Greg Latoile Lopez, James Sloan, Jonathan Dillard, John Funk, Ronald Paroli, Dave Roll, Brian Hafner, Misha LeBlanc, Ari Messenger, David Grotke, Todd Grossbeck, Wally Estrella, Sue Reinert, John Lico, Stephen Granada, Philip Mueller, Robert Lackey, Dominic Carroll, Jackie McCullough, John Hickman, Carl Presseau, David Neves, Patty Louise, Terry Fitzgerald, Peter Steinmetz, Timothy Fitzpatrick, Michael Lazewski, Hank O'Donnell, David Zanoni, David Weil, Matthew Sponsella, Chad Reno, Spartan Dale, Carolyn Ferguson, Peggy Littlefield, Lauren Allensmith, Eric Burns, Thomas Pearl, Darren McKibben, Richard Stewart, Dave Fletcher, Jack Smith, Luke Parkinson, Ryan Patterson, Sarus Faravar, John Gardner, Sam Scruggs, Dwight Pintinger, Connie Bowder, Rob Merrifield, and thanks to all past and anonymous folks for helping make this show happen.
Thank you for joining. You can find Pedal Shift at pedalshift.net for more great bicycle touring content. You can hear the Pedal Shift project through Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app. Opening music courtesy of Jason Kent off his self-titled album. The track is called America. Check out his band Sunfield's latest release, Mono Mono, wherever cool music is available.